The waiting room of New Hope Dental Center buzzed with the quiet energy typical of medical facilities, a blend of anxiety, boredom, and the occasional flip of a magazine page. Daniel Vasquez checked his watch for the fourth time in 20 minutes. Sophia should have been done by now. The extraction was supposed to be routine. Dr. Patterson had assured them. "She'll be in and out in 30 minutes, the receptionist had promised with a practiced smile when they arrived. Upper right molar, clean extraction, nothing to worry about. That was nearly an hour ago. Daniel shifted in his chair, the vinyl squeaking beneath him. The sound caught the attention of his wife, Mariana, who glanced up from her phone. "She's fine," Mariana said, her voice carrying a confidence that Daniel knew was mostly for his benefit. Her eyes, however, betrayed the same concern he felt. "Kids take longer sometimes. Remember what happened when she got her clean-in last year?" Daniel nodded, though the memory didn't provide much comfort. Sophia had always been anxious about dental visits, but this was different. This was her first extraction. The door to the treatment area swung open, and Dr. Patterson emerged, his white coat impeccably pressed, his smile as bright and perfect as the before and after photos that decorated the walls of his office. "Mr. and Mrs. Vasquez," he called out, gesturing for them to approach. "Sophia did great. She was very brave." "Where is she?" Daniel asked, rising to his feet. "The dental assistant is just finishing up. She'll bring Sophia out in a moment." Dr. Patterson's tone was reassuring, professional. "The extraction went smoothly. We had to remove the entire root because it was showing early signs of infection, but there were no complications." Daniel felt Mariana's hand squeeze his arm. "Thank you, doctor," she said. "She might experience some discomfort for the next day or two," Dr. Patterson continued, handing Daniel a small paper bag. "I've included post-care instructions, some gauze pads, and a prescription for children's Tylenol with codeine, just in case she needs it. The numbness will wear off in a few hours. Make sure she doesn't chew on that side for at least 24 hours, and no straws for a week." The doctor's instructions blurred together in Daniel's mind as he spotted Sophia being led through the doorway by a dental assistant. Something was wrong. He knew it immediately. His daughter, normally bouncing with energy even after the most mundane appointments, was walking with small, measured steps. Her eyes, usually bright and inquisitive, were fixed on the floor. "Sophia!" Mariana called, her voice lifting with forced cheerfulness. "How's my brave girl?" Sophia didn't answer. She didn't even look up. The dental assistant smiled apologetically. "She's still a bit groggy from the local anesthetic. Some kids react more strongly than others. Give her a few hours." Daniel knelt down to Sophia's level, tilting his head to catch her downcast eyes. "Hey, sweetie, you ready to go home?" Sophia nodded almost imperceptibly, still not making eye contact. Her hand moved to her jaw, resting there with a gentleness that suggested pain beneath the surface. "Is it hurting already?" Daniel asked, concern sharpening his voice. Dr. Patterson stepped forward. "That's normal. The anesthetic is starting to wear off. She'll be more comfortable once you get that first dose of medication into her." Daniel wanted to press further, to understand why his daughter seemed so unlike herself. But Mariana was already thanking the doctor, taking Sophia's other hand and guiding them toward the exit. The assistant handed them an appointment card for a follow-up visit in 2 weeks. "Call if you have any concerns," Dr. Patterson said, his hand on the door as they left. "But everything looks perfect. She's going to be just fine." The ride home was quiet. Too quiet. Sophia sat in her booster seat, staring out the window, one hand still resting against her jaw. Normally, she'd be peppering them with questions or stories about the fish tank in the waiting room, about what the doctor said when they were out of the room, about what treat she might deserve for being so brave. Today, there was nothing. "You feeling okay back there, Sophie?" Mariana asked, twisting in the passenger seat to look at their daughter. Sophia nodded again, the same small movement from before. "Does your mouth hurt? We'll get you some medicine when we get home." Another nod. Daniel caught Mariana's eye, a silent exchange of concern passing between them. Maybe it was just the anesthetic, like the assistant had said. Or maybe Sophia was processing the trauma of having a tooth pulled for the first time. Either way, they'd give her space. She'd bounce back. She always did. But Sophia didn't bounce back. Not that evening when she refused dinner, pointing to her jaw with tears in her eyes. Not the next morning when she pushed away her favorite breakfast cereal and settled for a few spoonfuls of yogurt. Not in the days that followed, when her usual stream of chatter reduced to nods, headshakes, and the occasional whispered yes or no. By the fifth day, Daniel's concern had morphed into something closer to fear. He stood in the doorway of Sophia's bedroom, watching as she sat on the floor with her stuffed animals arranged in a semicircle around her. In the past, this scene would have been accompanied by Sophia's voice, acting out elaborate stories, different characters, and scenarios. Today, the room was silent except for the occasional sound of Sophia's hand brushing against the fabric of her toys. "Hey, Sophie," Daniel said softly, stepping into the room. "Can Daddy sit with you?" Sophia looked up, her expression unreadable, before nodding. Daniel lowered himself to the carpet beside her, crossing his legs. For a few minutes, he just sat there, respecting the quiet that had become his daughter's new normal. "Does your mouth still hurt?" he finally asked. Sophia's hand moved to her jaw, the same place it had rested on and off since they left the dentist's office. She nodded. "A lot?" Another nod, more emphatic this time. Daniel felt a surge of frustration, not at Sophia, but at himself, at the dentist, at the situation. "Can you talk to me about it, sweetie? Tell me what it feels like?" Sophia opened her mouth slightly, then closed it, wincing. She shook her head. "It hurts to talk?" A nod. "Okay." Daniel reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "But you'd tell Daddy if something else was wrong, right? If you were scared about something, or if something happened at the dentist that made you feel bad." Sophia's eyes, brown like his own, locked with his for a moment before darting away. She picked up her favorite stuffed rabbit, Mr. Whiskers, and hugged it to her chest. That night, after Sophia had fallen asleep, Daniel found Mariana at the kitchen table, laptop open, a cup of tea growing cold beside her. "I've been researching," she said as he sat down across from her, "about complications after tooth extractions in children. And most of what I'm finding is about dry socket, infections, prolonged bleeding, but none of that explains why she won't talk." Mariana pushed the laptop away, frustration evident in the gesture. "It's been almost a week, Daniel. This isn't normal." Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "I called Dr. Patterson's office today. They said it's probably psychological, that some kids associate the trauma of the extraction with talking or eating, so they avoid it. They said to give it time. And you believe that?" "I don't know what to believe." Daniel's voice cracked slightly. "But I know our daughter. Something's not right." Mariana reached across the table, taking his hand. "I scheduled an appointment with Dr. Reyes for tomorrow. I know she's not a dentist, but she's been Sophia's pediatrician since she was born. Maybe she'll see something we've missed." Daniel squeezed her hand gratefully. "Good idea." Dr. Reyes's examination the next day revealed little. Sophia's throat looked normal. Her temperature was normal. When asked to open wide, Sophia complied, though with obvious reluctance. Dr. Reyes peered into her mouth, noting that the extraction site appeared to be healing well, with no signs of infection. "I don't see anything physically wrong," Dr. Reyes said after completing her examination. She glanced at Sophia, who had retreated to the corner of the exam room with a picture book. "But I'm concerned about this change in behavior. Has anything else happened recently? Any changes at home or school?" Daniel and Mariana exchanged glances. "Nothing," Mariana answered. She was her usual self until the tooth extraction. "It was like flipping a switch." Dr. Reyes nodded thoughtfully. "I'd like to refer you to a specialist, Dr. Chen at Children's Memorial. She's a pediatric otolaryngologist, an ear, nose, and throat doctor who specializes in children. She might have more insight." "An ENT?" Daniel questioned. "If it's dental-related. Sometimes issues in the mouth can affect surrounding structures," Dr. Reyes explained. "And Dr. Chen is excellent. She takes a holistic approach. Plus, she can order imaging if necessary." 3 days later, they sat in another waiting room, this one brighter and more colorful than Dr. Patterson's office. Sophia held Mr. Whiskers tightly, her eyes darting around at the underwater-themed murals that covered the walls. Dr. Chen was younger than Daniel had expected, with a warm smile and a gentle manner that seemed to put Sophia at ease almost immediately. She spent nearly 15 minutes just talking to Sophia, or rather, asking yes or no questions that Sophia could answer with nods or headshakes, before she even asked her to open her mouth. "Sophia," Dr. Chen said, kneeling to meet her at eye level, "can you show me exactly where it hurts? Can you point with one finger?" Sophia hesitated, then pointed to a spot along her jawline, just below her right ear. Dr. Chen nodded. "Thank you. Now, does it hurt all the time, or only when you try to talk or eat?" Sophia held up 2 fingers. "When you talk or eat," Dr. Chen confirmed. "Has it gotten better since the dentist, gotten worse, or stayed the same?" Sophia's small hand made a so-so motion. Dr. Chen smiled. "You're doing great, Sophia. I'm going to take a look in your mouth now, okay? I'll be very gentle." The examination was thorough but quick. Dr. Chen's expression remained neutral throughout, giving away nothing. "I'd like to take an X-ray," she said finally, addressing Daniel and Mariana, "just to get a clearer picture of what might be happening." "The dentist already took X-rays before the extraction," Daniel pointed out. "Yes, but those would have been focused on the tooth itself. I want to look at the surrounding structures, the jaw joint, the muscles, the pathways where nerves run. It's probably nothing, but I want to be thorough." An hour later, they were back in Dr. Chen's office. Sophia had been given a tablet loaded with games and sent to a small play area within view, but out of earshot. Dr. Chen clicked through several images on her computer screen before turning it toward Daniel and Mariana. "Here's what we found," she said, pointing to a small bright spot on the otherwise grey image of Sophia's jaw. "Do you see this?" Daniel leaned forward, squinting at the screen. "What is that?" "It appears to be a small metal fragment, Doctor," Chen said, her voice carefully neutral. "Approximately 3 millimeters in length. It's lodged in the soft tissue near the joint, where the jawbone connects to the skull." Mariana's hand flew to her mouth. "Metal? How did metal get into our daughter's jaw?" Dr. Chen's expression was grave. "That's what concerns me. Given the timing and location, it seems most likely that this was introduced during the dental procedure." "You mean Dr. Patterson left a piece of metal in her jaw?" Daniel's voice rose with incredulity. "I can't say for certain how it got there," Dr. Chen replied carefully, "but what I can tell you is that its location explains Sophia's symptoms. It's pressing against nerve pathways that are activated when she talks or chews. That's why she's experiencing pain specifically during those activities." "So what do we do?" Mariana asked, her voice shaking. "How do we get it out?" "It will require minor surgery," Dr. Chen explained. "I've already spoken with Dr. Sandoval, our oral surgeon. He can fit Sophia in this Friday." Daniel felt a surge of anger, hot and immediate. "And then what? We just forget this happened. Someone put a piece of metal in our daughter's jaw and—" "Daniel," Mariana interrupted, placing a steadying hand on his arm. "One thing at a time. Let's focus on getting Sophia better first." Dr. Chen nodded appreciatively at Mariana. "That's the right approach, and for what it's worth, I'll be documenting everything thoroughly. Once Sophia is on the mend, you'll have options about how to proceed regarding the dentist." Daniel looked over at his daughter, still hunched over the tablet, oblivious to the conversation that was unfolding about her. For nearly a month, she had been living with pain that she couldn't express, a foreign object in her body that shouldn't have been there. The thought made his stomach turn. "Friday," he said finally. "And then what? And will she be able to talk again? Will there be lasting damage?" Dr. Chen's expression softened. "Children are remarkably resilient. Once the fragment is removed and the inflammation subsides, I expect she'll make a full recovery. It might take some time for her to feel comfortable talking again, but physically, she should be fine." As they gathered their things to leave, Daniel's mind was already spinning with questions, with scenarios, with suspicions about what had really happened in Dr. Patterson's office that day. But watching Sophia slip her small hand into Mariana's, he pushed those thoughts aside. First they would heal their daughter. Then they would find answers. The surgery was scheduled for Friday at 8 a.m. They would need to arrive by 6:30 for preoperative procedures. Sophia would be under general anesthesia. The procedure itself would take less than an hour. She could probably go home the same day. These details washed over Daniel like waves, some registering, others lost in the tide of his thoughts. As they walked to the parking lot, Sophia between them, he made a silent promise. To her, to himself, to whoever might be listening. They would get through this. And then they would make sure it never happened to anyone else. But as he helped Sophia into her car seat, a new fear gripped him. What if the metal fragment wasn't the only thing Dr. Patterson had left behind? What if there was more to this story than they knew? And most troubling of all, what if Sophia's silence wasn't just about physical pain, but about something she had seen or experienced in that dental chair, something that words, even if she could speak them, might fail to capture? The questions hung in the air unanswered as they drove home through the fading light of afternoon, the truth still buried beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Friday morning arrived with a grey sky and light drizzle, fitting the somber mood as Daniel and Mariana escorted Sophia through the automatic doors of Children's Memorial Hospital. The surgical waiting room was quiet, populated by a few other anxious parents, clutching coffee cups and staring at their phones. Sophia Vasquez, a nurse in blue scrubs, appeared, clipboard in hand. Daniel squeezed Sophia's shoulder reassuringly. "That's us." The pre-surgical routine passed in a blur. Forms signed. Vital signs checked. An IV placed in Sophia's small arm with practiced efficiency. Dr. Sandoval, the oral surgeon, stopped by for a brief consultation. "We'll be making a small incision here," he explained, pointing to a spot on Sophia's jaw. "Minimal scarring. We should have her in and out within the hour." When it was time, Mariana leaned down to kiss Sophia's forehead. "We'll be right here when you wake up, sweet girl." As Sophia was wheeled away, Daniel pulled Dr. Sandoval aside. "That metal fragment, I want to see it." The surgeon nodded. "Of course. We'll preserve it as evidence." The waiting room clock seemed to move at half speed. Daniel paced while Mariana sat perfectly still, eyes fixed on the doors through which Sophia had disappeared. After 45 minutes, Dr. Chen appeared, still in her surgical cap. "She's doing fine," she assured them before they could ask. "Dr. Sandoval is closing now. Everything went smoothly." Mariana exhaled sharply. "Thank God." "And the fragment?" Daniel asked. Dr. Chen produced a small container. Inside was a metal object, no bigger than a grain of rice. "This is what we found." Daniel took the container, examining it closely. "What is it? Part of a drill? A needle?" "It's the tip of a metal instrument called an elevator, Doctor." Chen explained. "Used to loosen teeth before extraction. It appears to have broken off during the procedure." Daniel's jaw tightened. "And Dr. Patterson didn't notice, or didn't report it," Dr. Chen added carefully. "That's not for me to speculate on. What matters now is that Sophia's going to be okay." Recovery was slow but steady. That first night, Sophia slept fitfully, the anesthesia leaving her disoriented and nauseous. By Saturday afternoon, however, the hospital had discharged her with antibiotics and mild pain medication. Sunday brought the first breakthrough. Daniel was helping Sophia brush her teeth when she suddenly spoke, her voice hoarse from disuse. "Daddy, it doesn't hurt anymore." Daniel froze, toothbrush in hand. "What did you say, sweetheart?" "My mouth, it doesn't hurt when I talk now." He gathered her into his arms, tears threatening. "That's wonderful, Sophie. That's so wonderful." With Sophia's recovery underway, Daniel turned his attention to Dr. Patterson. The dental office manager was sympathetic but defensive when he called Monday morning. "Dr. Patterson would like to meet with you," she said. "He's very concerned about what happened." The meeting was scheduled for Wednesday. Daniel arranged for his mother to watch Sophia while he and Mariana confronted the dentist who had caused their daughter a month of unnecessary suffering. Dr. Patterson's office appeared unchanged. The same pristine waiting room, the same receptionist with her practiced smile. But when they were shown into his private office rather than an exam room, Daniel sensed the shift in power dynamics. "Mr. and Mrs. Vasquez," Dr. Patterson greeted them, his usual confidence noticeably diminished. "Thank you for coming in. I understand Sophia had surgery last week." "To remove a piece of metal that you left in her jaw," Daniel said, not bothering with pleasantries. Dr. Patterson winced. "Yes, I've received the records from Dr. Chen. I can't express how sorry I am." "Sorry doesn't cut it," Mariana interjected. "Our daughter couldn't speak for a month because of your negligence. I understand your anger." "No, you don't," Daniel interrupted. "You told us everything was fine. You dismissed her symptoms. If we hadn't sought a second opinion, that fragment could have caused permanent damage." Dr. Patterson sighed, removing his glasses to rub his eyes. "You're right. This is inexcusable. During the extraction, there was a complication. The elevator I was using, a metal tool, fractured. I thought I had retrieved all the pieces." "You thought?" Mariana's voice rose. "You didn't verify. You didn't take another X-ray." "I should have," he admitted. "It was an error in judgment that goes against everything I believe in as a practitioner. An error that cost our daughter a month of pain and silence," Daniel said. "I know." Dr. Patterson replaced his glasses, his expression somber. "That's why I've already reported myself to the State Dental Board. There will be an investigation, possibly sanctions, and my malpractice insurance will cover all of Sophia's medical expenses, plus compensation for her suffering." Daniel had expected denials, legal threats, anything but this admission of guilt. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because what happened to Sophia was wrong. And I'm responsible, because I've been practicing for 20 years without a major incident, and this has forced me to reevaluate everything. And because you deserve the truth." As they left the office, a young woman in scrubs approached them in the parking lot. "Excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Vasquez? I'm Tara, Dr. Patterson's assistant. I was there that day, with Sophia." Daniel tensed. "What do you want?" "You should know. This wasn't the first time." She glanced nervously at the building. "His hands have been shaking for months. He dropped instruments twice during Sophia's procedure. I reported it to management. But—" She trailed off. "But what?" Mariana pressed. "He's the owner, and he was already reducing his patient load, planning to retire next year. They didn't want a scandal." Daniel exchanged a look with Mariana. "Why are you telling us this now?" "Because you're not the only ones," Tara replied. "There are 3 other families who've had complications, minor ones but still. I've documented everything." She handed them a sealed envelope. "This needs to stop before someone gets really hurt." The drive home was quiet, but this time it was a silence full of purpose rather than fear. "What do we do now?" Mariana finally asked. Daniel considered the envelope on the dashboard. "We make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else." 2 weeks later, Sophia sat on the examination table in Dr. Chen's office, swinging her legs and chatting animatedly about her day at school. The transformation was remarkable, from silent suffering to unbridled enthusiasm. "Well, Sophia," Dr. Chen said, removing her otoscope, "everything looks perfect. Your jaw has healed beautifully." "So I don't have to come back anymore?" Sophia asked. "Just one follow-up in 6 months to be extra sure." As they prepared to leave, Dr. Chen pulled Daniel and Mariana aside. "I heard about Dr. Patterson, the suspension from practice, the review board." Daniel nodded. "It's not just about punishing him. It's about fixing a system that allowed this to happen. You know, most families would have settled privately and moved on," Dr. Chen remarked. Mariana smiled sadly. "We couldn't, not after seeing what Sophia went through, not after learning there were others." Outside, Sophia was already racing toward the butterfly garden that decorated the hospital's entrance, her voice carrying across the courtyard as she called for them to hurry up. The sound, so ordinary, so precious, filled Daniel with a profound gratitude. The State Dental Board's investigation was ongoing. The media had picked up the story. Change was coming, slowly but surely. But watching his daughter now, Daniel realized that the most important victory had already been won. Sophia had found her voice again, not just the physical ability to speak, but the courage to do so, even after trauma. "Come on, come." "Slow pokes," she called, her face bright with laughter. Daniel took Mariana's hand as they walked toward their daughter, toward whatever came next. Sophia's silence had spoken volumes, revealing not just a medical error, but a systemic failure. Now, her voice, and theirs, would ensure that the truth remained heard, that accountability followed negligence, and that the system designed to protect patients actually did so. In the end, it wasn't just about a fragment of metal hidden in a child's jaw. It was about the courage to keep searching for answers, even when experts insisted nothing was wrong. It was about trusting that small voice, whether silent or spoken, that says something isn't right. And most of all, it was about ensuring that when someone vulnerable is in pain, their suffering is never dismissed, never ignored, and never, ever forgotten.